Alright, welcome everybody to your Week 9 Fantasy Football Recap for Mills and Friends League 2024. I'm your commissioner, Scott Mills. And let's just jump right on into it. I know I'm late. I'm a whole day late, and it's kind of late on Wednesday, so I'm going to kind of rush through this recap. But I wanted to do this recap because there's a couple of reminders I want to get out of the way first. Before we go through the scores from the week, uh, first thing is trade deadline is this week. We did have one more trade, which it looked like was going to be going through uh, here this week. We had here was I think the report. Here we go. Okay, let's view this trade here really quickly. So we have the Phoebe's Warriors team, owned by Chance Vaughn, who will be receiving Rachaad White, and he'll be sending to the Wolves Warriors team, owned by BWolf91, Travis Etienne, and $50 of free agency budget, which can be used to pick up on waivers during the week players. And so if you bid the most every week, then you can pick up that player. So that's how that works. So I actually didn't know that you could trade these dollars. You start the year for our league, it's $100, and so yeah, and Chance had almost all of his money. He hadn't really spent a ton of money on those waivers, so he just was like, well, I'll give it to him and I'll get Rachaad White because Travis Etienne's kind of underperformed a little bit this year. Rachaad White is an alright running back too, so there you go. So that should be processing here shortly. And let's see, did Brett make use of any of that? Wow, well, Chance certainly used up another huge chunk of his waivers, picking up Mike Williams for Pittsburgh. And then another $2 on Dalton Schultz. And I don't really see. Yeah, so Brett's still saving that $50 that he got for maybe another week. All right, let's get into the scores. So the high score for the week, congratulations to the Return of the King team with 166.8 points scored in a blowout win over No McCaffatack, which did not even score 100 points in this game. The quarterbacks did really well, but not a whole lot else for the No McCaffatack. The running backs really struggling, but for the good news for No McCaffatack is that team name might be changing back to McCaffatack because Christian McCaffrey is, I think, on track to be able to maybe play this week. We'll have to see, but that's kind of the news that I was hearing. So that's going to be a big boost for the No McCaffatack team, which has managed to be just under 500, but still very much in the playoff race. Just a game back, really, from those top 6 spots. So getting McCaffrey back is going to be huge for him. Over here for Return of the King, every once in a while, his team has that big score potential. He's had a couple of weeks where he's had big scores. But just 4-5 on the year. So Again, here we had quarterback was a really big score, but then he also had big running back scores out of his running backs. And Davante Adams for the Jets now is back with Aaron Rodgers, so that's probably going to be good for Davante Adams' scores going forward. And then Jackson Smith-Jigba for the Seattle Seahawks having a huge game, so that's how he got such a huge score. He had some very big scores out of Jalen Hurts, Alvin Kamara, and Jackson Smith-Jigba. So that was that one. Pretty big blowout there, and now both teams are 4-5. Seasons are not done there. Now over here we have Team Mills Cards beating the now named Seeking Forgiveness team. No longer the Shaksaki squad. It is now Seeking Forgiveness. And Team Mills Cards, it was looking for quite a while like Team Mills Cards wouldn't. The projections were showing the Seeking Forgiveness team was going to be winning, but then Team Mills Cards explodes for 150 points in the week. Patrick Mahomes has a really nice week, which is nice to see because Patrick Mahomes has been kind of struggling for a lot of the year. And then Sam Darnold, another pretty nice week over here for the Seeking Forgiveness team. And running back wise, a little underperforming over here. With the under 10-point games. And then over here, you had Chuba Hubbard with a big 20-point game. DeAndre Hopkins now on the Chiefs. You got Patrick Mahomes, and all of a sudden, DeAndre Hopkins is back with some big scores. The 2 touchdowns was a big part of that, but also 8 catches for 86 yards. Very healthy reception and target count as well. So you've got to be happy about having DeAndre Hopkins now on the Chiefs and being able to stack him with Mahomes. That's pretty big. Tyreek Hill, he did have 80 yards receiving. He still is looking for that big game, though. So if he can get a couple games with a touchdown in there, he'll have some bigger scores, but still not that first round scores that you're really hoping you can get from Tyreek Hill. But having Tua back is certainly helping more than not having Tua there for the Dolphins. So. And then some other nice scores here. Both of the defenses did really well over here. With 19 from the Chargers defense against Cleveland, and then the Jets defense putting up 15 versus Houston with a really nice performance as well. So those are both really good. And then Garrett Wilson over here. So both of no. So yeah, Davante Adams was the other matchup. So yeah, Garrett Wilson though here, the other Jets receiver, and he had 2 touchdowns over here. So Garrett Wilson definitely being nice and productive there. All right, so that's it for this matchup. Let me check if there's any comments here really quickly. There's not. I have one viewer. Okay. On we go. So we're going to look at Eggball Elite defeating Team Ludina in a fairly close matchup here, 132.7 to 123.46. We have Eggball Elite taking this one. Kind of close, only 9 points really separating the two teams. Kirk Cousins, not a great quarterback performance, but not terrible either. And then Josh Allen with a typical Josh Allen performance with 23. So, and then over here with the running backs, Devon Achane for Team Ludino is really had a big performance there. And then Ramondre Stevenson had another nice performance over here for Eggball Elite. We had Zay Flowers was the big one. for Baltimore. Baltimore scoring a ton of points, and Zay Flowers was a really big reason for that. He really went off in this game. And then without T. Higgins, Cincinnati really was using Mike Gesicki quite a bit. And Mike Gesicki had 5 catches for 100 yards of receiving and 2 touchdowns for a huge score there. That's a big reason why Egg Ball Elite was able to win this game. And a lot of these touchdowns and points came towards the end of the 1 o'clock games, really, and really helped to boost that score for Egg Ball Elite towards the end of that 1 o'clock window. And yeah, the defenses were identical there. The kickers didn't really do much, but yeah, that was really the difference right here. Zay Flowers, Mike Gesicki in this one. So let's go ahead and move on to our next score and review. It looks like it will be the Spooky Season team beating Wolf's Warriors. And now, because the Phoebe's Warriors team lost the Lamb Chubs play along, which we'll be getting to that matchup next, now 7-2, 7-2, I believe Spooky Season with total points becomes now the number 1 seed in the league. And this is with Kyler Murray, the quarterback, only getting 3 points. Arizona won this game 29-9, but quarterback Kyler Murray only with 3.76 points in fantasy. I didn't realize it was that low. I know because my team has Marvin Harrison Jr. that Marvin Harrison wasn't good. I didn't know that Kyler Murray didn't put up a lot of points either. But despite that, still 129 is a big score, and a big part of that is Derrick Henry still being the best running back in the league. As that's been a huge reason for the success of Spooky Season team this year. And then for Cincinnati, they're a young running back, Chase Brown, puts up 24.2 points. So the running backs for Spooky Season really putting up big numbers. Let's see what else was a big number here. You had Kareem Hunt, another running back, putting up 18 points. He's really had a resurgence since the Kansas City Chiefs signed him back. And he's really been doing well. That was such a huge pickup for Spooky Season, too. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown, decent performance again. That was his first round pick from the beginning of the year. And then the defense was pretty good as well. But yeah, that's really where the majority of those points comes from. Over here for Wolf's Warriors, you had J.K. Dobbins with another really nice game. He's been a good running back this year. Rachaad White with an 11-point performance, but he's going to be going to the Chances team. And then Travis Etienne will be coming on, and I believe that Brian Robinson, who I gave to him, was kind of injured again, so couldn't really play. So he could be using Brian Robinson once he gets healthy again. Lamar Jackson, yeah, he was really good again. 3 touchdowns, 280 yards passing. I actually kind of expect to see Lamar with a 30-point game, being how big they blow out Denver in that matchup. But still, 22 points is very good score. And we've got... trying to look here. These other things, tight ends were alright. They're pretty good. Kyle Pitts was not good over here. But yeah, not a whole lot more to talk about there. So just a clean win there for Spooky Season. Now let's talk about this other matchup that I was alluding to the last time, where now Phoebe's Warriors team slips to the number 2 seed, I believe, at 7-2. And Lamb Chub's play along Goes up to 5-4 now with this win. Baker Mayfield, another all right game from him. Pretty good, 18 points. Joe Mixon with a solid running back performance. Yeah, nothing here is a 20-point performance, but most of the players are up over 10 points here, which is usually a pretty good recipe for having a nice week. But yeah, not a ton here. I mean, CeeDee Lamb was all right. A big issue here was this Arizona receiver. Man, you wouldn't think seeing all these Arizona players, fantasy players that are starting, all like having really poor fantasy point numbers, but yet Arizona blew out Chicago in this game. You wouldn't think that based on the quarterback got 3 points. The receivers are getting 1-0 points. like that's kind of weird, but that's how it goes, I guess. So yeah, I'm looking here. Quentin Johnson from the Chargers had a nice game against the Browns there, as players tend to do against the Browns this year because they're terrible. And then the defenses were both all right there. Travis Kelce had a nice game over here, so the Lamb Chub play along team likes to see that. There was a fumble in there, but when you're catching 14 out of 16 targets for 100 yards, you can fumble a ball and still have a decent score. That's fine. So that's it for that one. We've got one more matchup to go through, and this was walk-off win. My team had another complete dud of a week against Team Emmy, and Team Emmy wins it with 113 points to improve to 6-3, and then my team falls to 5-4. Quarterback actually went to Aaron Rodgers for my team. Jaden Daniels was very close to that, though, so pretty even there at the quarterback position. And then running back is really where it took off. Saquon Barkley with the huge 30 fantasy points. Saquon Barkley's been very good, and my running backs, they were okay, 10 and 12, nothing special there. And then receiver was terrible for really both of us, but me especially. Here's where I was talking about another Arizona fantasy player with like almost no points. The fumble was really bad. Targeted 5 times, but only caught 2 of them for 34 yards. So definitely, some of it I think is Marvin Harrison being a rookie, so he's just gonna have ups and downs. Some games where he's really good, some where he's not. And then A.J. Brown got hurt in the game and is now questionable, but they just pulled him, and he really didn't have a ton of production by the time they pulled him, so only 4 points. They pulled him kind of early. The weather was pretty bad in Green Bay. I will take 5 points out of Tucker Kraft, but it's not very good. And then, of course, Puka Nacua decides to punch somebody in the middle of the game and get himself ejected. So that was kind of annoying for me in that sense, too. And then Cortland Sutton over here for Team Emmy was another nail in the coffin in this matchup that just propelled Emmy's team to win. And there was absolutely nothing on my team that was any good at all, so except for the quarterback. Yeah, I could have played Cedric Tillman, Austin Eckler. Don't know that it would have won me the matchup. Would have been closer, but that's all hindsight. So that's it for looking at the matchups there from week 9. And again, don't forget the trade deadline is this week, and it's already Wednesday, so the week 10 games are starting tomorrow. So, as I was saying there, spooky season now takes over the number 1 seed, and the total points scored on the year over 200 more than the Phoebe's Warriors team, so not really much of a chance that if there's a tie in records that you'd be able to get back that one seed unless their record was definitively better than Spooky Seasons. And then over here, Emmy is right behind them by one game for the 3 seed. But again, Emmy has 100 more points scored than the PB Warriors team. So if the PB Warriors team loses one more game and Emmy goes up, they can get into that top 2 seeds and get one of those first round byes in the playoffs. There's still 5 weeks to go in the fantasy football season. So there's still a lot of play left for things to change. So really nobody is out of it except for the Team Ludina. That would be pretty tough to come back from being 3 games back right now and having every other team you'd have to climb through in order to get into the top 6 spots. That would be pretty tough to do. But every other team kind of has an opening. The 3 and 6 teams are definitely in some trouble for sure. But yeah, it's still wide open. A lot of things are going to change in the next 5 weeks. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recap, and I'll be back next week. Hopefully, I'll do the recording on Tuesday like I normally do. It didn't happen this time, and then I was busy watching the Cavs play and win again tonight, and so that's why it's late on Wednesday. But I wanted to do a recap for this week, so this is it. I hope you enjoyed. Okay, bye.